Welcome to Wrasslin Raw!
All right, you're listening to Wrasslin Raw, the podcast that takes you back to when Raw became war and attitude ruled. Thank you for joining us. You're here with Ryan Arico.
Do you want me to throw you out of my office like everyone else throws you around?
Joe Giammatteo.
I'm not complaining, but I don't have a clue why Sable is coming out here.
I'm the one and only Jason Bartlett. We're going to examine WWE history, one episode of Raw is War at a time. But first, a little housekeeping here. We had a comment on Facebook from listener Paul B. He sent us a message saying, "Great podcast. I'm a little ahead of you guys. A few more months of this silliness with DOA, the oddities, Southern Justice, Tiger Ali Singh, Sable, etc. will be forgotten. Then the real Attitude Era takes off. Some great stuff coming soon." And I can't agree more. Paul B. Mae Young giving birth to a hand. That's what we're all looking
forward to. Absolutely.
Yeah, he definitely brought up a good point, too. 1999 for sure is like the peak Attitude Era, so there's lots of great things to look forward to. The birth of the hand, obviously.
Yeah. Gotta say, the thing I'm probably most looking forward to is Kurt Angle. I can't wait for Kurt Angle.
I'm looking forward to Kurt Angle.
Because he's early 99, right?
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to the tight end, or the tag team division getting a better... just getting a boost. We're going to get
a little push.
Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, Dudley Boys.
Yeah. I'm looking forward the most to Big Boss Man. Honestly, so all of that stuff that you guys have talked about, that's all amazing. If you think back to ministry, corporate ministry, the Big Boss Man plays into a huge part of all of that, and some really, really entertaining segments with him in it. So it's one of those things that I'm looking forward to examining in hindsight. I loved it back then, but I think I'm really going to love it now.
Well, one thing I know for sure, though, is he delivers one of the worst Hell in a Cell matches with The Undertaker of all time.
Yeah, but he also drags the Big Show's father's corpse in a casket.
That is a fantastic moment.
Behind a Blues Brothers police vehicle with a megaphone on top of it. That's amazing.
Spoiler
and he
alert.
Forces Al Snow to eat his dog.
Pepper.
Yeah, like fucking Cartman.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Paul B., for sending that in. We always appreciate our listeners getting in touch with us. And unfortunately, I do have to take it down a notch here for a second just to acknowledge today, the day that we are recording this, July 24th, 2025, we got the news that Hulk Hogan passed away. And we try not to get too deep into the weeds on certain things that we could get into, but say whatever you may about the man, his past, his politics, whatever, you cannot deny his impact on the wrestling industry. And frankly, his impact on my early young life whenever I didn't know about things like that. I was a little Hulkamaniac back in the 80s.
If you remember one of our Christmas episodes, I gave my top memories, and that was my number one, was Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant, because that was what got me into wrestling. That's what made me stand in awe watching it as a kid, and I was a fan ever since. So yeah, there's no doubt that he is a legend of wrestling.
Yeah, same with me. The chemistry between him and Macho Man Randy Savage in the late 80s there, and just watching on Saturday Night Main Event, that's what got me into wrestling. So there's no denying he's on the Mount Rushmore. He's just one of the best wrestling characters ever.
Yeah. Not wrestlers, but characters for sure.
Yeah.
And we don't cover it here, but you can't sleep on his contribution to NWO, WCW.
No, absolutely not.
Again, that's nothing that we talk about here necessarily outside of Joe and his contemporary news, but he totally reinvented himself there in the mid to late 90s and really helped propel the business again.
Yeah. That was what made many WWF fans like myself, at least during commercial breaks of WWF, to switch over to WCW to see what was going on with the NWO.
Yeah, I think he was one of those guys that had his own following. There were probably a lot of people that stopped watching WWF after he went to WCW.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy Hart, definitely.
Absolutely.
Real quick, in the
Give him a proper goodbye.
Wrasslin Raw fashion, let's have a Crushmore goodbye.
Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
All right.
There we
Thank
go.
you so much, Ryan, for that. Adios, Hulkster, brother. All right. So in this episode of Wrasslin Raw, we're going to be talking about the Raw that aired on August 24th, 1998. This Raw was recorded at the Core State Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and features Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary. Are you guys ready?
I am ready.
Ready.
All right, then. Let's get into it. This started out with a silent scene of Cahoots, The Undertaker, and what appeared to be Kane leaving a locker room together, no one else present. And once we went to the arena, the bell tolled, and The Undertaker came out side by side with Kane. And I have to say that these two are a hell of a visual when they are marching in lockstep down the ramp. That's good shit, that view on the TV screen. We also got a view of the steel Hell in a Cell hanging above the ring, just as Mr. Vincent Kennedy McMahon came down to the ring with a microphone in hand. Of course, Vince had to bring up Bill Clinton's indiscretion while he was telling everyone, "I told you so," about Cahoots. And given the...
What's that about shitting on people, Vince?
Given the raw, destructive power that these two represent as a team, Vince wanted to ingratiate himself with them, telling them about everything that Vince brings to the table. JR continued to ask why a Hell in a Cell was hanging above the ring, because we didn't get any lead-up or explanation of that. Just as Paul Bearer came down to the ring, he was looking very upset. Paul called Kane's mother a sleazy whore, and I popped. I popped again, though, when Kane turned his back so The Undertaker could do a just straight Leonidas 300 kick into Paul Bearer's face, sending him across the mat. That drew out Mankind, who ended up getting a spiked tombstone from the brothers, which was pretty badass. Vince took this opportunity to point out that one man remains between The Undertaker and the championship, which was a great time for the glass to break. The crowd erupted, and Stone Cold came to the top of the ramp where some kind of magical fire appeared to almost cook Austin.
Where's a cable puller when you need them?
Right. Take one for the team, pal. Austin, he knows that he can't take both of them, so Austin put it out there that he's going to take one of them out tonight so that championship match at SummerSlam stays one-on-one. Supposedly also tonight, China is going to call out The Rock, another confrontation. We've also got the Brawl for All final with a, new to me, $75,000 purse on the line. There are finally some kind of stakes here for this. And to cap everything, we once again got pointed to the Hell in a Cell hanging above the arena, the mystery surrounding it, before moving on. So let's pause here, guys. We've finally got the payoff for what feels like an 84-year-old angle. Cahoots. Confirmed. And I feel like an enormous weight has been lifted off of me now. We can finally fucking move on with our lives. Ryan, what did you think of how we kicked off the episode?
Well, as much as we make fun of the Cahoots storyline deservingly, I thought this was a good payoff. This whole segment, it did its job and it worked pretty well for me. I liked Vince McMahon coming out immediately to gloat about how right he was about the Cahoots. And he even says that they came out of the casket. Another thing that was neat from Vince is he doesn't exactly say the Brothers of Destruction.
Yeah.
We're starting to hear maybe the teases of the Brothers of Destruction. So that was cool. Paul Bear, I loved when he came out. His promo, we haven't got one of these good just Paul Bear blubbering on the mic promos out of him. So that was good to see. I liked it. Stone Cold came out. We got some more supernatural powers from the Undertaker and Kane. Rightfully so. He says, there's no way I can take on both of you, so I'm going to have to take one of you out. So all around, this was long. What was it? Probably 15 minutes worth of bullshitting back and forth. But I think finally the story is going somewhere. And at this point, I would say Undertaker has turned, right? He's teamed up with Kane. He's in cahoots. He's willing to cheat Steve. And I think as the night goes on, we'll hear from the crowd as they start to boo some of the stuff that the Undertaker does. So I would say, even if it's not completely official, he's turned now.
Yeah, I'm not so sure if he's turning, but it certainly seems that way. Maybe the fans will take to these two as baby faces, depending on what happens. Kind of like Steve Austin when he first started to rise. It was like, well, he's an asshole, but the fans like him, like one of those deals. But I'm glad we finally got the answer to the Cahoots. I think no disrespect to any other cities that WWF travels to, but you can tell they turn it up a little bit when they're in a city like Philadelphia or New York. And this was definitely a hot start to the show with the Brothers of Destruction walking down the ramp, and then a great entrance for Austin too. A huge crowd pop for him.
Oh yeah.
And I'm glad how they set this up. He just stayed at the top of the ramp and just cut a promo on these guys, and Austin works best when the odds are stacked against him. I didn't love how he was in a tag team with The Undertaker and we had to deal with all that bullshit. I like it when Austin is the lone wolf, odds are against him, and that makes you wonder going into SummerSlam and any other show, how is he going to get out of this? How is he possibly going to defeat The Undertaker now with Kane on The Undertaker's side?
He's like that hero in a movie.
Yes.
How is he going to overcome all this?
It's really, I think, the strongest part of his character is that having everybody against him. But I also liked Austin saying that he's basically already telling us his strategy. He's going to take someone out. He's going to Tanya Harding somebody.
No, that's later. Tanya Harding in the jumpsuit.
and then he won't have to worry about one of them at SummerSlam. So I like this setup for this 2-hour Raw show.
Very cerebral for a rattlesnake.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it just props up the idea that we've played with a little bit here over the past couple months. There are certain superstars, Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker to a lesser extent, but the top of the card spot is a one-man show. Tag teams don't work there, generally. And if you take two top of the card baby faces and try to put them in a tag team, it diminishes it. It diminishes them. So I think maybe we're finally going to get past SummerSlam here and get into the time where we have just solid heels and baby faces at the top of the card. Austin versus The Rock, Austin McMahon. It's going to be pretty static as far as that goes. And that's a good thing.
Not to burst your bubble, but I don't think the story with Undertaker and Stone Cold is going to end at SummerSlam.
Well, it'll get put to the back burner. Because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I remember the ministry and the corporate ministry coming about in a different way.
That's all after. Just saying, I think we still have a little bit of Stone Cold versus The Undertaker in our near future.
I'll admit, my timeline, I was definitely off on my timeline. I was surprised to see the Brothers of Destruction starting already. I thought that was later.
It's later, it's soon, it's even later.
Yeah.
It happens a few times.
They're going to tickle our taints a little bit.
Yeah.
But in all instances, it's fairly short-lived.
Yeah, I do remember it being short-lived, yeah.
Yeah, every time. I think it's 3 times mainly. It's 3 main times it happens, and each time it's fairly short-lived.
So they're going to play around with friend or foe?
I was going to say, at the very least, we're away from fucking Cahoots.
Yes.
And I think, Joe, you had brought it up. It's hard to to gauge the fan reaction to the Brothers of Destruction here because they cut a hell of a visual. That was how can you not get behind all of this beef in the ring as a tag team? The resolution of that brother versus brother angle.
They also set something else up in this segment that I'm going to touch on it a little bit later because something else happens that I think was kind of flying under the radar here.
Oh, okay.
And to speak to The Undertaker's popularity, for someone like me, it didn't really matter when Undertaker was babyface heel with whoever he was cahoots with. I was just always an Undertaker fan.
Yeah, he's always going to be a big attraction. He's going to sell tickets.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, well, hey, let's move on to something that'll never sell tickets. our first match of the night. Ken Shamrock defeats Dan the Beast Severn by disqualification in 2 minutes.
No, DQ.
53 seconds. DQ. Get
Your
used
hero.
to those letters tonight. So I was shocked to see this on the card. Like, I really thought that these guys never had a match.
Yeah, I thought, did history just erase this match? Because I was under the impression they never had one either.
This is a Berenstain Bears moment.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very short and it was a DQ and all, but yeah, they actually had a match.
Yeah.
Before Severn came out, though, we got a view of Mankind being loaded into an ambulance after that last encounter. That was funny. And back in the ring, I laughed when Severn took off his gray t-shirt and wiped his armpits with it. I don't know why that entertained me so much, but it just felt so right for Dan Severn.
You were wishing you could be in the crowd catching
it.
That gray shirt and
get a whiff of
I could
whiff
see
of
you
the
just
musk.
burying your face in it.
The musk of the beast. This was immediately fucking horrible, this match. You can't really fake MMA style fighting without it looking extremely mechanical and telegraphing everything. And I think that goes for anyone, not just Severn. There's a reason why the MMA gimmick was limited to one person in Shamrock. He's the only person that could really make it look good. Owen Hart ran in. He drew out the DQ, and that was followed by Steve Blackman coming out to break it up once again. Steve Blackman circling the drain here. Thankfully, Kenny snapped and suplexed Blackman, but Blackman gave it right back with a suplex to Shamrock of his own, which really put Shamrock over the edge. One guy that you really wouldn't think you'd want to piss off unless you're maybe Steve Blackman. Kenny started beating his face off of the ring stairs at the outside in frustration, and after that, this segment pretty much ended there. I really didn't think this was entertaining at all. It exposed Shamrock and Severn.
Wow.
The best I can say for it is that, well, beyond... further exposed, we'll say. But I guess maybe a better way of putting it is it exposed Severn's inability to work with somebody who is closer to his level than some of the other people that he has worked with. Like, it really exposed his inability to adapt to this whole pro wrestling thing, more so than Shamrock. Poor Shamrock in this.
No doubt,
Jesus.
no doubt, yeah.
The best I can say for all of it, though, is hopefully it ended any kind of friendship going on so that we can just get back to Shamrock being a solo guy like he should be. Ryan, what'd you think of this?
Not much, because Dan Severn, regardless that we were shocked by the fact that they did have a match, he just, like I said last week, he just sucks at everything except real fighting. I'll give him props for that. He is a legitimate badass, but as far as when it comes to professional wrestling, he sucks. And he can't fake UFC fights. He can't fake punches. He can't fake slams. No matter what you ask of him in the professional wrestling world, he can't really deliver. But we did get a match between Ken Shamrock and Dan Severn, so I didn't think that was going to actually happen, so that was a shock. The end, probably the best part of the whole segment, was the exchange of suplexes from Ken Shamrock and Steve Blackman. They both looked great, so that was cool to see. Blackman, I want to see him in a better storyline because he looked green when we saw him a couple months ago before his injury, but he definitely was showing signs of improvement every week. So I want to see him back in the ring and in a better program than just helping Ken Shamrock.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to see Blackman up against somebody other than Jeff Jarrett.
Right. Exactly.
Don't piss me off.
We'll see some of that later.
Yeah. I think I agree with you, Bartlett, in a way that this did expose Dan Severn in a way that I feel, even though we knew this already, I feel like maybe the company now knows that it's not working with Dan Severn, because if they're just going to give this away for free on a Raw with no build-up. These guys had 2 UFC matches against each other in shoot fighting. You'd think that you would have a built-in story that they would build up to, but because of Dan Severn having no connection to the crowd whatsoever, it's probably just, well, fuck it, let's just throw these guys into a match in Philly on a Raw and see what happens.
Give it a DQ.
Yeah. Give it a DQ. So I think this is them giving up on Severn, like we'll let your contract run out and then we'll see you later type of deal.
I would think if this had any glimmers of a good match, it'll lead to something at maybe a pay-per-view. But since it didn't, I would be highly shocked if we see anything moving forward with this.
Yeah, it's just weird how you have a built-in story here and it just hasn't worked. And now you have to throw Owen Hart into the mix, which is not part of that story. But they almost have to throw someone like Owen in here to make it somewhat interesting. I do like that Ken Shamrock snapped on Steve Blackman, though, because Shamrock and friendship doesn't work for me, brother.
Friendship again?
He doesn't need friends. He's, as JR would say, Shamrock is not sane at this moment. And that's why we like him.
Yeah, that's some creatine rush he's got going on there.
Yeah, you don't want friends close by when you're snapping.
Right.
All right, moving along. Backstage, we got a view of Mankind wheeling a gurney through the backstage area. There appeared to be some unconscious EMTs there laying on the ground, which I thought was really ironic because, like, who's going to work on them?
Yeah.
Great visual. Back in the ring, Mankind rode the gurney down the ramp and crashed into the ring. I fucking popped my ass off. I loved it. Loved it. God, it had, I have the biggest smile on my face right now just recalling it. It's such a great scene. His arms outstretched, whee, the whole way down. Mankind had a bag of thumbtacks with him, and he launched into a promo about redemption, specifically in the Hell in a Cell. Mankind then proceeded to make a lot of promises about what's going to happen in that cage later on, and given that this is network TV, I was already prepared to be disappointed with damn near all of those promises. And that is where we got confirmation then that is why the Hell in a Cell is there. A Hell in a Cell match was booked before anybody else found out about Cahoots and whether or not Cahoots were confirmed. JR gave us the very spurious explanation that Vince and Mankind must have had a talk ahead of time. But if you really think about it, the timing doesn't really fit here. And then here, finally, we got a healthy discussion, finally, again, of what happened at the King of the Ring 1998, the infamous Hell in a Cell match between The Undertaker and Mankind. The first time it's been addressed in any amount of length here for the national
They showed
audience.
footage from it.
Yeah. This is the most we've got, aside from a one-off comment from Shawn Michaels on commentary once.
Yeah.
JR got interrupted, though, by Sable's dumbass, and we got the horrible news that someone gave Sable a microphone to introduce the next segment. So we'll pause it here. Joe, after what, again, feels like 84 years, we finally got some talk about the Hell in a Cell. We got some microphone time with Mankind. What'd you think of all this?
We did, and I will revisit that opening segment that we had. I think this was one of those things that was something that's flying under the radar here, is that I have to think that one of the intentions of creatives' ideas for tonight's show was that they had this date circled on the calendar. We're in Philly. It's a go-home show. Mick Foley, we're gonna give you a little bit of a babyface tease here. See what happens, see how the crowd reacts. You had your Hell in a Cell already. They already love you for that. We're going to have a Hell in a Cell here tonight, too. So I feel like there's just some pieces here in tonight's show that is having Mankind on the rise as a babyface, but just a little taste. Nothing too obvious. But I feel like this is probably the start of that big babyface run that Mick Foley is going to have.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, because starting off with when Mick rides that fucking stretcher down, hitting into the ring, was just hilarious. That's like comedy, and the crowd popped for that. How could you not? Then Mick does a good job of getting on the mic and really playing into this with his hardcore shit. He was at ECW for a long time, so they fucking love him already. Now Philly's going to get their own Hell in the Cell match. Pittsburgh got it originally, now Philly's getting it. So I think everyone's pumped to hear it, and I thought Mick did a great job setting it up.
Yeah. Agreed on all points. What better place to trot out a little bit of hardcore and a little bit of Mick Foley than Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in the late 90s. At one point, I can't remember if it was during this segment or during some other segment, but some kid in the crowd yelled, "Oh my God. In this perfect Joey Styles impersonation. It was spot on.
There was also a sign that said Kurgan equals ratings.
I don't know about that one. But I have some surprising words about Kurgan in the next segment here.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
good.
let's get to it then. Our next match. Kurgan with the oddities. That's Luna, the Giant Silva, and Golga defeats Mark Marrow with Jacqueline by disqualification in 1 minute and 46 seconds.
Wait, did you say a DQ?
Yeah, disqualification.
Wow.
Were you not paying
We're not going to
attention?
hear any more of those tonight, right?
No. Oh, yeah. No. It was a
It was
one-off.
just a joke.
Yeah.
It was a joke. So.
Yeah.
It's been 84 years since the last one.
You missed it.
My bad. I knew right off the bat that this was going to be absolute garbage. There's really no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So we got the news that Insane Clown Posse is going to be performing at SummerSlam, and I'm really curious if that is going to actually happen or if we are going to get an edited version of this.
Maybe someone's going to bring some magnets out on the ramp and it's going to distract them.
Yeah. Because so the music that the oddities came out to for this match, it was already different than the last time they came out. So I have to think,
not ICP.
Right. So I have to think that they've just been editing it every time now. I think they had to have been coming out to ICP.
Well, I told you last time, and again, did you catch it in the Jumbotron? They show ICP
Yes,
in their
you're right.
intro,
Yep.
so
Yep.
I'm assuming it's their song playing.
Also, not that I really care, but did we ever get an explanation of how the Kurgan transitioned from brainwashed, skull-crushing maniac under the jackal to this bullshit?
No.
Okay,
We just forgot about it.
there wasn't like a...
Became friends with Sable.
Okay, is that what it was? Maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
They all became friends with Sable.
Yeah.
You saw Sable and boom, brainwashing over.
Okay, yeah, her tits are bigger than the jackal's for sure.
Maybe they had those like pinwheels spinning on the end of them.
The little
Yeah.
the 50s hypnotism gag.
Yeah, right.
So Jackie wasn't present at first in this, but she did come out of the audience at one point wearing a black Adidas tracksuit and a Jamaican hat and wig combo to attack Sable.
Nancy Kerrigan.
JR said he thought it was Ziggy Marley at first. By God, JR.
Nancy
crazy
Kurgan.
cat.
Nancy
Yeah.
Kurgan, if you will.
Nancy
Oh, God.
Kerrigan, yeah.
My God. So Marrow ended up earning the DQ with a nut shot to the Kurgan. It's amazing that there's anything there to hit with the amount of steroids that were pumped directly into that guy's
Well,
traps.
they're all into his neck, yeah.
Yeah.
Now go do some lap pull downs.
And nothing
Scream
else.
while you do it. All right, that's all I've got. I really hate watching this useless, pointless shit, and it's getting to the point where it's really pissing me off more and more every time I see it. Joe, please, what did you think of this?
I would like to point out that I am not surprised at all that Sable cannot dance at all. It was worse than Elaine.
from
It was worse
Seinfeld,
than
yeah.
Elaine. It was so bad. Just there's nothing. There's nothing
Kurgan
there.
dances better.
There's nothing there
He
but
does.
a bunch of silicone. But yeah, this was predictable. Jackie was going to show up and beat on Sable. That's what they're building up to for the pay-per-view. So
I did not predict Ziggy Marley, though. I'm sorry.
No.
That was a shock.
yeah, I have nothing else on this. It was trash.
I was saying I have some surprising words about Kurgan, and the match was trash. I agree with both of you. But I do greatly enjoy this version of Kurgan over the Jackal version of Kurgan. Seeing Kurgan do his little like Urkel snap fingers like dance thing in the ring, I could at least laugh about that, where the whole shit with the Jackal was just all around shitty. So this is just leagues ahead better than what he was, but the match was shit. Don't get me any wrong. Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, good way to spin it. You are right. This is preferable, but still, it's just not even a 2-second thing off of Shotgun Saturday Night or Heat or Superstars, for God's sakes. Nothing to explain the transition. All right, so after that, we went backstage to X-Pac, who was leading a camera through some hallways with a mischievous giggle coming out of him. And X-Pac was there, apparently, to piss on someone's cowboy boots. That's a habit with him. From what I remember, he's always pissing and shitting in things.
He's a pisser.
And then oh my God, a visibly and audibly inebriated Hawk joined commentary, and JR did his best to distract us from that, but he got on there with, and I'm not even going to try to quote it, but he was, throughout this, while he was there at least, he was doing a really good job of being the just falling down cartoonishly drunk person. The one-liners that he was giving through this, it was like a, what's the guy's name? Red Fox. It was like a Red Fox skit where like he's Dean Martin, like where the gag is that he's inebriated.
Right.
With that being said, we quickly went into our next match. The New Age Outlaws defeat Southern Justice by pinfall in 3 minutes and 16 seconds, right? The bell rang, but the match didn't start because Double J came out, not wearing any boots, to grab a microphone and demand X-Pac to come out. So I guess X-Pac had been the one, or X-Pac had pissed in Double J's boots. That wasn't clarified at first, but this was the clarification for us. And this entire time, Hawk was just randomly breaking in with completely unrelated comments, not in any way tied to what was going on our cameras, on our screens. And not that I was interested in Southern Justice's performance or anything, but Jeff Jarrett yelling.
First time.
Right. First. And we were completely distracted from it. But like Jeff Jarrett yelling at everybody, like everybody. He was yelling at commentary. He was yelling at the cameras. He was yelling at just people around him in general. It was pretty annoying. And it was a distraction throughout the entire match. Again, not like I care, but being the first time, like I wanted to see if maybe they had changed anything or if they had grown or developed at all. But instead, all I got was Jeff Jarrett just yelling. But I did like Jarrett attacking the cameraman. That was up until Jarrett pulled out hair clippers just out of nowhere and started shaving the guy's head. How fucking dumb. I'm sorry, Jeff, but this isn't the early 80s. Like, the hair cutting isn't going to get over again until you've got somebody with a...
Brutus the Barber Beefcake. You need some hedge clippers.
You need something crazy, like... somebody that actually people give a shit about, not this. But the camera guy was squealing like a pig throughout all of it. And that was pretty hilarious. And that's where this ended. So, Ryan, we finally got Southern Justice in the ring. What did you think of this match, as well as X-Pac micturating on Jeff Jarrett's boots before it?
The pissing in the boots was probably the best part of the whole segment.
Yeah.
The match was completely throwaway. We did finally get Southern Justice in the ring, but man, I was damn close to giving them Jobber of the Week if it wasn't for it kind of being a cheat ending by the New Age Outlaws here. The ass man came in here as the illegal man to secure the victory, but Southern Justice wasn't looking all that great. And the whole thing with Double J, it worked to an extent, but they get the cameraman in there, and he clearly doesn't have the clout that X-Pac does, because he didn't have a hair tied off section for him to cut. They really went into his fucking hair here. He had to probably go home and buzz cut his whole head. A useless match for the most part, though, and I guess that's not a huge surprise for Southern Justice's first match.
Yeah, I didn't give a shit about the match because it's Southern Justice, so doesn't matter. But I think that this build up to this match at SummerSlam was really good. I like X-Pac a lot in the ring, and I'm glad that he's going to have a match. And I will give the whole haircutting thing a pass only because we know why they're doing it. It's to give Jeff Jarrett a fresh paint of coat, if you will, which is desperately needed. So
desperately.
Yeah. Desperately. So we're going to get that new version of Double J after SummerSlam, which is great. So I guess I'll give this hair thing a pass, but it is a little outdated, but beating up on the cameraman was hilarious. So
timeless.
Everybody's going to enjoy that.
All right. I wonder if that was Louis Gianfrido's cousin, Carlo Gianfrido. All right. So from there, we went into our next match. Kane with The Undertaker versus Mankind ends in a no contest in 7 minutes and 41 seconds in a Hell in a Cell match. So Mankind started this off by attempting to climb the cage and start things off the same way he did at Hell in a Cell 98 at the King of the Ring. When referees tried to haul him off, Mankind attacked them, and I liked that. Mankind tried and failed twice to throw a steel chair up onto the top of the cage. Both times it fell back onto the commentary table. And there was a moment where, I wondered, did that just crack Jerry Lawler in the face? Because he wasn't saying anything, and JR was, and JR asked about him a couple times, and the camera was not on them, so... After a little bit of action, Mankind got put through the Spanish commentary table from about halfway up the cage wall. I guess that's the network standard, maybe.
Yeah, this ain't a pay-per-view.
Yeah, you can't come off the top, but halfway up is fine. By the time they got both of these guys into the ring with the door shut, honestly, I had already kind of lost interest in it. I did enjoy Mankind railing Kane with the steel chair. That was entertaining. He was laying that in. And it was funny on top of that because Kane's ass landed in the thumbtacks. After the series, he just flopped over. And then whenever they stood up again, it looked like the butt cheeks of Kane's tights had been bedazzled.
Yeah, it matched his stud work around his wrists and...
But just the cheeks. He had golden cheeks there for a moment.
That had to hurt as he walked around, as they'd pinch into his ass. That would probably shitty.
But then Kane really launched into his chair shot of Mankind, and it made me wonder, when exactly had the doctor cleared Mankind to resume getting concussions here in the ring? And that goes for all of these chair shots. There were multiples.
The 90s, buddy. We don't give a shit about
the amount of CTE that was dished out on this episode was unreal.
Yeah. Yeah, Mankind got multiple chair shots.
Those were baseball swings too.
Yes.
Those were brutal.
Swinging for the fences.
Yeah. But then Austin appeared from under the ring, and I guess Mankind had missed him whenever Mankind was crawling around under there to get the steel chair and thumbtacks out. But Austin tore Kane apart. The Undertaker ended up unable to stop anything, and that is how this match more or less ended. After a brief commercial break, we came back to The Undertaker and Kane in the ring, Taker with a microphone. It's got a promo on Austin, assuring that Austin was going to get what's coming to him tonight. So, again, I have to be honest here. After the bullshit matches that we had up to this point, I was pretty unexcited for what was getting hyped as the next Hell in a Cell, only to find out that I was right and that this was a censored or maybe toned down USA version in almost every way. We had the bump through the announce table, but it was only from halfway up the cage. We had thumbtacks, but the only reason that anybody got in anybody was because Kane went down in a misplaced landing coming out of the pile driver. That wasn't intentional. We had The Undertaker up on the roof of the cage breaking a hole in the fencing, only for it to be a nothing burger. I don't know, just all around, I thought this was a kind of a cheap way to give Mick Foley what appeared to be at least 4 more concussions. Joe, what'd you think of all this?
I think this was a situation where the sequel is not always as good as the original, but I couldn't help but think the whole time, guys, we are getting a Hell in a Cell match on Raw in the middle of the episode with Kane and Mankind. I'm just holy shit. I can't believe they're doing this. I can't believe that they are, again, giving away something for free on a Raw that is just so brutal for this one. We talked about earlier with Shamrock and Severn could have been something, but this is crazy that they're doing this to me. That's all I could think of this whole time. I forgot Kane and Mankind were tag team champions. That's just that's where we are with that.
JR plugged it at one point, so we're oh yeah, that's right.
Yes.
At SummerSlam, they got to defend the titles.
Yeah. Yeah, I just couldn't believe it. Middle of the show, Hell in a Cell. Are you kidding? On Raw. And I think Austin coming out from under the ring is actually a great angle. I did not see that coming. I thought that was, again, something making sense. We like when things make sense. He said he was going to deliver. He's going to go after these guys tonight, and he's delivering on that promise. And I laughed when they showed Vince at the controls raising the cage. I thought that was hilarious. And JR got all of his sayings in on this. Carnage. He has a family. This is vile, sadistic. Just got them all in, and this was really entertaining.
Yeah, I'm definitely in your camp, Joe, and not in Bartlett's. I thought I thought this was pretty damn good for a Raw. When they mentioned that we were going to get a Hell in the Cell, I assumed that it wasn't going to be on the level of a pay-per-view Hell in the Cell, and it wasn't. It was not. Let's say that up front. This was not the classic of Undertaker and Mankind, but on some random Raw in Philadelphia, I thought it was pretty damn good. Mankind just agreeing to be in another Hell in the Cell this shortly after the other one is pretty shocking to begin with. And yes, the slam through the announcer table happened from half up, but I didn't expect it to happen from the top. This is Raw. The thumbtacks, that spot happened. The chair shots from Kane. Holy shit. I mean, there were good 3 or 4 of those that were pretty brain scrambling, and I'm sure hurt just as much as some of the slams from the original Hell in the Cell. And again, Joe, I agree, the whole part with Stone Cold coming out from under the ring, it was perfect because he said he was going to take out one of them tonight, and what better way than have Kane caged in the cell? Undertaker can't help him, and he gets to kick the shit out of Kane. So I thought the match was 7-8 minutes, so it wasn't a completely throwaway DQ immediately. It ended up being a no contest, but it wasn't 2 minutes into the match like all the other ones were. We actually got some wrestling here. I thought this was great. I couldn't ask for anything more from a Hell in the Cell on Raw.
Yeah, so I think where I come back to with this is we could have had all of this without the Hell in the Cell. We could have had the chair shots. We could have had the thumbtacks. We could have had Mick going through a table. We could have contrived a different way for the Undertaker to not be present, and it would not.
But this added something for people to stick around and watch it.
Yeah, well, they would have stuck around to watch Mankind smack Kane with a chair.
But they definitely will Hell in the Cell.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like by making it a Hell in a Cell match, they just gave a blatantly watered down version of the original, when, especially in Philadelphia, they could have had a makeshift hardcore match that would have went over just as well. Call it no DQ, call it false count anywhere, I don't care, but they could have done this all just as well without the cage, I think is really what I'm getting at.
You know what I have to say?
I can only imagine.
Nitpicking dickbag.
Yeah, 18%er, yeah.
I knew it was going there.
When you're in a Monday Night War with another company, like,
exactly,
if you're going to show a Hell in a Cell on a Monday night, people are going to not change the channel.
Yep.
All right, well, you know what? Let's get past that, and let's get to something that we can all three of us agree on, I think. China looking fine as hell.
Yes.
Marching down to the ring in the next segment. I was really, really digging this, like,
She's hot.
Betty Page, like, hairstyle, like the black hair and bangs thing going on. So
a little more
good.
jacked than Betty Page.
Well, yeah.
Just a little.
So she was out there to meet The Rock, who came out dressed like an immaculate version of The Rock. Like, this was superstar Rock. This was khaki shorts and loafers.
This whole segment was prime Rock.
Oh, this got a little crazy for me personally, but the rest of the nation, they ended up following The Rock down, minus the Godfather. We can only assume that he must be out
injured,
disciplining some hoes. No, nothing. No injuries happened in the Brawl for All ever.
JR informed us he was still out from his injuries from the Brawl for All.
Yeah. Well, just as I had typed that, JR said Godfather was out because of his Brawl for All injuries.
He's in a body cast.
Yeah.
Like 98% of the people involved in the Brawl for All.
He's in a wheelchair. Prognosis uncertain.
Immobilized.
So The Rock directed China's view to the screen, where somebody somewhere had parked a forklift in front of the DX locker room, preventing China from getting any kind of rescue there in the ring. And The Rock also gave us the news here that there is going to be a ladder match at SummerSlam between him and Triple H for the Intercontinental title.
There it is.
We finally got it after a lot of really confusing build-up and half ham-handed suggestion and innuendo. We finally have the official word here. The nation ended up restraining China after that, and things things got a little rapey. I did not care for that. What I did like was that this was some high quality Rock. He was really, really getting heat throughout all of this. This was the Rock dominating the microphone. This was the Rock with a subject to talk down to, which is always going to bring out the best of heel Rock. But then just as the Rock had instructed Mark Henry to give Chyna a big kiss, who comes out to Chyna's rescue but the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, with a steel chair to clear the ring. Shawn Michaels, as a way of celebrating the save from sexual assault, decided to dance to Sexy Boy and grind his crotch on the commentary table. Backstage, DX had finally gotten out of their locker room and were furiously searching for the nation. Ryan, I was really torn on this one. I really didn't like how Chyna was used here. Didn't like how she was being portrayed as fearful and vulnerable. And I didn't like the dialogue surrounding all of that got us to that point. But I do have to say that the non-creepy stuff from The Rock here was absolute fucking fire. It's got me really excited for the future. What'd you have on it?
Yeah, and I think that is a way to go thinking about this segment, because it did get a little parlance of its times with the rapiness talk, or not talk, but actions with Chyna. Those were definitely uncomfortable, but The Rock, we've said this many times, The Rock kind of becoming the quote-unquote The Rock, and we've seen him drop his quotes here left and right. We've seen him in some pretty good promos backstage, but this is the first time that we really got a lengthy just segment in the middle of the ring, him on the mic for minutes and minutes, using all of his headline or his quotes, getting the crowd, the people's champ, the know your role. He was busting them all out, on top of also just ripping into someone left and right. And this was definitely The Rock becoming more The Rock and what we're going to see moving forward. But how they had Chyna acting so afraid in the ring was, it was uncomfortable to watch. But thankfully, Shawn Michaels did come down and save her. That was cool and completely unexpected.
Yeah.
Like, we had Shawn Michaels a few weeks ago, or I don't know, probably a month or a month and a half ago at this point, doing some commentary. Then he disappeared, and then here he showed back up, and then, as we'll see later, joins us on commentary moving out. But I completely agree with you. It's a little bit of mixed feelings, because it definitely showed its age in the content, but the rise of The Rock here and seeing his skills on the mic can't go unnoticed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely served its purpose. I think it was supposed to make people feel uncomfortable, and that's what it did. But I think the reason why this was so good and made The Rock look so good was because he actually had time to work. Because all we've seen from The Rock with this type of stuff so far is just like quick backstage interviews.
Yeah,
and he tries to throw in all of his catchphrases within like a 20-second spot. Mm-hmm. But here he has minutes to work with, and this is where you see the $500 shirt, which he mentioned.
Yeah.
And definitely ended up in the King's Closet, because I remember this one.
You can see here, okay, I get it why this guy became a star outside of wrestling. Like, just the way he looks, the way he carries himself, the way he talks, like
charisma.
Like you said, Bartlett, he has someone here to talk down to, which is what he does the best. Like, that's what made him so great in the Attitude Era. But the other thing that's great here is he took like a Clubber Lang type approach here, where he was saying, why don't you come be with a real man type of thing, verbally undressing Triple H, which I think was great, because if you remember the last time these guys had a match, the Triple H was like way over in that match. The crowd was really rallying behind Triple H. So I think this certainly helps, but it also gives the crowd and the fans a better look at what The Rock can do when you give him a mic for several minutes. And HBK with the save here was so great because it was unexpected, like you guys said. And I love Jim Ross. Jim Ross made a Mark McGuire reference.
53 home runs.
Yeah, after Shawn hit, who did he hit? Mark Henry, I think, right? With the chair. Yeah. Shawn Michaels said, well, it's all that creatine and androstenine. And I popped because everybody knows now Mark McGuire was doing steroids by the drum back then. So that was fantastic.
That is good shit. All right. I don't have anything to top that. We got to move on to our next match. Val Venus defeats Taka Michinoku, Mr. and Mrs. Yamaguchi-san, by disqualification in 1 minute and 7 seconds. By God. Isn't this like, well, so I'm getting the deja vu from the DQ, but like, isn't this also like the fucking 17th time we've seen Val Venus versus Taka Michinoku at this point?
Probably.
Yeah. So Shawn Michaels, he joined commentary for this match, and Taka got the jobber treatment here straight up. No entrance, no music. He was already
Light
in the ring.
heavyweight champion, ladies and gentlemen.
When Val Venus got
Did he even have the
announced.
belt with him?
Probably not.
They probably don't trust him with it.
No, Vince keeps it in his office.
Of course, Taka got his shit in here, and by that, everybody at this point should know what I mean. Crossbody from the corner, blah, 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 blah. Triple H, he interrupted this with a steel chair going into everyone. That drew the DQ, and Try got on the mic to say that at SummerSlam, Rocky was going to be Tripp's bitch. And that really put the capper on the jobber treatment for Taka for me. This wasn't even a match about the feud that Val Venus and Taka Michinoku had been somewhat in up to this point. This was really just a vehicle to put over The Rock and Triple H. So triply useless for old Taka. And Ryan, by the time this match was over, like, I was sure that Taka Michinoku was going to be jobber of the week, just given what I've laid out in my breakdown here. So please, as the president of the Carpenters Union, the man in charge of making these decisions, can you explain to us why the fuck is Taka Michinoku not a fucking jobber of the week here? This was terrible.
Well, there's a very good explanation for it, and quite technical maybe. But yes, he was absolutely a Class E jobber here. But
is that
music.
formal? Is that on his W-2? Class
It
E.
is. You have to mark it. There's varying levels.
He's a champion.
He is a champion. That's why he's not a Class J. But the main reason here is no music, street clothes, basically. Yeah. They don't even fucking give him tights anymore. Yeah. But it was a DQ. And to really get jobber of the week, you need to take a humiliating clean pin in the middle of the ring. And that wasn't delivered.
Instead, he got CTE with a chair shot.
Instead, he got CTE, but no jobber of the week for CTE.
That one chair shot took him down to Class J or Class M or whatever. Well, thank you for that, Ryan. I do appreciate that explanation because I was really wondering.
Understandable because, again, definitely a jobber.
Yeah, jobber to the max. I did like Val Venus, his promo at the beginning. He referenced the cheesesteaks since they're in Philadelphia. He said, "Ladies, I got more meat than your buns can handle," which I love that line. Like you said, Bartlett, it was just a vehicle for Triple H to dish out some CTE to these jobbers.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So we came out of that and quickly went into our next match. X-Pac defeats Gangrel by disqualification in 1 minute and 36 seconds. Oof. So I still can't imagine wrestling with those fangs. I can't get past it. Like, how does
commentary even brought it up?
How does this guy have any bottom lip left at all? It's amazing to me. JR reminded us of the hair versus hair match that's going to be going on between X-Pac and Jeff Jarrett at SummerSlam. And I cannot imagine a fan in 1998 caring about that as a stipulation. Edge was creeping around in the audience again. We got a quick view of him. But then Double J showed up with the guitar. He exploded it over X-Pac's head. And that is what ended the match.
More headshots.
Yeah. CTE. You get CTE. And you get CTE.
Everyone gets CTE.
I did have to laugh at Gangrel, though. He was trying to act creepy in the ring while X-Pac was being carried out. But then Edge appeared in the ring to attack Gangrel, and I had to wonder, like, what the point of all of this was, because, like, everyone knows you have to drive a stake through a vampire's heart to kill it. That was borne out here by Gangrel laughing at Edge when the officials broke this up. Like, Gangrel didn't take it seriously at all. It was like, you weak, long, blonde-haired guy, like, you didn't do shit to me. Stake through the heart, cut the head off, clove of garlic in the mouth. That's what you do with vampires. So, Joe, I'm really trying not to be a negative Nelly here, but I'm also not sure why I should care about who cuts whose hair here in the Attitude Era. And it seems like this kind of was just a way to prop that up for SummerSlam. What'd you think of this match?
Yeah, I think they don't even have to do the hair versus hair thing. They could just fucking have the match and then someone gets their head shaved just for fun. Who the hell cares?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said earlier, X-Pac in a match on SummerSlam, I'm looking forward to it. And I like Edge doing something now.
That isn't breaking someone's neck.
Yeah. He broke a guy's neck, but then he's just in the stands, like in the crowd randomly. And JR says there's more to this story. There just has to be more to this story. So he's basically telegraphing that there's going to be something going on between Edge and Gangrel here. And this is the start of it. So Edge he got a good crowd reaction, and we've barely seen him in the ring.
He spent so much time with the crowd at this point. They're behind him.
He just has a great look. Like the way that he looks is going to get over with the crowd. So it's good to see him in the ring.
This was another throwaway match. This was a very short DQ match, but I still enjoy Gangrel's look and music when he came down, and the short-lived work we got with him in the ring, him and X-Pac, was pretty solid. So I don't have anything against that other than the length of this match. Edge coming in, obviously we know what's coming in the future, and that's probably making this build up even better. If I was live watching this, I might go, well, why do I give a shit about Edge for the second week in a row coming in and attacking Gangrel? But we have that advantage of knowing the future, so it's pretty cool to watch the buildup of the Brood here in live, because as I stated in our last episode, I didn't really remember the buildup of it. I just remember the Brood and when they joined the ministry. So that part of it is cool. But the match itself was a complete throwaway.
I'm just glad that Edge is not being a barrier to a fire escape anymore, because that's what he's been up to this point.
Blocking people's nachos, anything like that.
Getting in the way of people trying to get a piss break.
Beer here.
Yeah, exactly. People need to do the stretch whenever matches like like Val Venus versus Taka Michinoku are on. They need to be able to hit the hot dog vendor, the pisser, all that. Also, guys, let's not forget Kevin, Oh My God Kelly, and Dr. Tom Pritchard are on WWF.com for code RED. That's the only job they're willing to give Kevin Kelly these days, so let's do our best to support him there if we can. Also, The Undertaker was last seen pushing around a giant black casket. So there's that, as we headed into our final match of the night.
Hey, watch it! That's my career! That sounded like a career going down the drain.
Yeah. Given what we know about this was especially satisfying, and especially with the Mike Tyson Punch-Out music. Bart Gunn defeats Bradshaw by knockout in the first round of the Brawl for All final. We got a Stridex triple action review of some of the more catastrophic injuries sustained during the Brawl for All, including the death of Steve Williams, God rest his soul. And
goodbye.
And in the match, this was over in about 15 seconds. Bradshaw never stood a fucking chance.
No.
He went down, and he went down hard. And like I said, there's just knowing what we know about the bullying and Bradshaw's attitude sometimes in the locker room. This was just
he's the reason for the Brawl for All.
Yeah.
Vince Russo was just laughing his ass off in the back.
It had to be so satisfying to so many people.
He was probably like pleasuring himself. Bro.
Boom, 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 boom. So yeah, Bradshaw went down hard. And I'm pretty sure that the ring doctor that was in with Bradshaw was that same doctor that works for cigarettes and lives behind a dumpster. You remember the last time we were in Philly?
Yeah.
It looked like he was explaining, like, no, you got your ass kicked.
Yeah.
And Bradshaw was just like, what? No, I already, no, it's over. You got your ass kicked in 15 seconds.
You've been down.
What?
This is over.
Yeah.
Could have used that Joey Styles impersonator here again.
So that's it, guys. The Brawl for All is over. This debacle has spanned many weeks, many wrestlers, multiple fatalities, and even taking into consideration that a few people have wound up crippled for life. I still think that I believe that the biggest victim of all here was the winner, Bart Gunn.
Yes.
There was never a point in any of this where he did not look like a total badass. Like, we're repeating ourselves at this point over the past couple fights, especially after last week's episode. It's such a fucking shame. They could have taken him to a whole new level with this, but instead, Bart Gunn went down almost as hard as fucking Bradshaw did in this final. Ryan, what are your thoughts on the end of the Brawl for All?
Well, this match was actually entertaining. We didn't get
15
boring
seconds.
no boring chant from the crowd because Bart Gunn just fucking lit Bradshaw up immediately. Puts him down on the mat. A couple, 30 seconds into the first round, Bradshaw gets back up and Bart Gunn says, sit the fuck back down and knocks him the fuck out. What's really shocking here is Bradshaw, the loser of this match, goes on to have a great career.
Yeah.
He becomes a WWE or F legend, but this is pretty much it for Bart Gunn, despite JR saying that Bart Gunn wins $75,000 and this opens a door to a new career. Yes, a new career out of the WWF.
Somewhere else.
Yes, a new career the fuck out of this business. So that's sad to see, but Bart Gunn, way to go, just fucking clocking Bradshaw into another universe. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, this is probably the worst screw job in wrestling history, but worse than Montreal. Screwing Bart Gunn. This guy put so many people in the hospital by just doing his job. And it got worse.
Exactly what they asked them to do.
They're lucky this was the last one because each match that Bart was in, people were getting just destroyed worse and worse.
Better and better he was getting.
Bradshaw was not okay to continue after that first knockdown. I'm not sure who this referee was or why they let it continue. The twitching.
Someone slipped him some cigarettes.
The twitching was great when Bradshaw went down.
That's not a work.
The damage done. And again, this had to be so satisfying for everybody in the back because Bradshaw just had a loud mouth on him. I just watched a interview with Steve Blackman with Chris Van Vliet, and it's such a great interview. Everybody should watch that. But yeah, he talked about how he kicked Bradshaw's ass in an airport because Bradshaw wouldn't shut the fuck up. It's a great story.
And then he got his foot caught in a duffel bag and he couldn't continue in the fight.
Yeah. Wow, this was just what a fucking knockout this was, and those smelling salts were not working.
No.
They weren't.
No. They needed a branding iron to get that big Texan up.
He was seeing some other world, and it was not this one. You could see.
What happened?
The veil was over his eyes, man. It was...
Nope, it's over, Bradshaw.
Come on back to my dumpster. We'll talk about it.
Am I the 12th guy to get CTE tonight?
All right, so it's a tragedy. We all agree on that, but at the very least, it's fucking over until they bring in Butterbean to really put the nail into Bart Gunn's coffin.
Just for good measure.
Bro, this is a brawl for all.
Yeah.
This is a shoot, not wrestling. Bro, it's boom, 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 boom. Just look at it logically. Does it make any sense?
Never did.
No. for the final time. No.
It does if you want to destroy every muscle in someone's body.
And watch Bradshaw's brain age 20 years.
That's what he wanted. That was the whole reason for it. The payoff, brother.
Boom, boom, boom.
You're being a prick, so here's some early onset Alzheimer's for you.
Goodbye.
All right. Good shit. But for the record, though, I think that was 11 booms in that. This match, it only took 2. All right. So next up, as things wear down here, backstage with Michael Cole. Michael Cole! I'm getting really used to saying it that way. I really enjoy saying it that way, actually. He was there with Vince McMahon, and I did like Vince threatening to throw Michael Cole out of his office, just like everybody else throws Michael Cole around.
Everyone bullies that fucking pencil neck geek.
Even his boss, the man that signs his paychecks.
With his pencil neck.
We came back to the arena after that. It was filled with purple light and Gregorian chants and a view of that back alley doctor running up the ramp to get out of the way. I guess he got held up trying to negotiate for cigarettes or pornography there in Gold Circle seating, maybe. And then a group of druids came out wheeling out the casket. And they were some of the most piss-poor druids I've ever seen.
Oh, looked like a Spirit Halloween costume, like the day of Halloween, like, oh shit, I got a party to go to tonight.
The first problem is that we shouldn't be able to see their faces. These guys were chewing gum, they were rubbernecking at the crowd, they were just happy to be there all around.
These were the true jobbers of tonight.
Right. The ones we didn't get to see. The ones that showed up hoping for somebody to get injured in a brawl for all so that they could volunteer to get some ring time. Thankfully, though, those guys got the fuck out of there after depositing the casket next to the ring, and that must have just been a way to kill some time that got freed up by Bradshaw getting knocked the fuck out. Because they had to have thought that was going to last a little bit longer, at least.
A few more minutes, yeah.
And they had to drag something out somewhere. So after all of that got settled, The Undertaker came out by himself. The Undertaker got on a microphone, and he finally here started getting some boos. It took us so long to get here, but we finally got The Undertaker behaving as a heel, getting heat as a heel. But Vince McMahon came down to interrupt and just totally suck that heat up and get that answer that Vince had been looking for earlier in the episode. Vince McMahon, friend or foe? The answer was apparently foe, as The Undertaker choke-slammed Vince, leading to a little bit of ambiguity as to whether or not The Undertaker's really going to be a heel or a babyface now, because that's a babyface thing to do. But then, like some kind of pandemonic clown car, first Austin and then Kane came up out of the casket. They must have been spooning in there, I guess. Some action happened in the ring, and then a line
How did they notice each other?
Right. You'd think he would have smelled the burnt carcass of Kane in there with him.
Or felt him. He's a big guy.
The grip of the biceps around his shoulders. We could turn this into like a Harlequin romance novel.
Let's not.
A line of fire appeared on the ramp as Austin was backing off of the scene. Austin backed into it a few times there. I was waiting for him to get burned or something. And that's where things started to wind down. But we got some extra attitude in our episode. This was Austin coming back down to the ring, stopping at the base of the ramp, and then backing up into that fire again. Kane and The Undertaker stood in the ring for another minute. Earl Hebner helped Vince McMahon up the ramp until the Stooges came out to help. That's when Austin appeared again to attack the Stooges, and he was laying into Briscoe, I do believe, while we faded to black. So I thought, much like the rest of this angle and the way that it's played out over the summer of 98, this go-home show just fizzled out into a nothing burger for me. There was some promise there, but then this fake fire and the fact that The Undertaker is still just ambiguous as to whether he's a babyface or heel. It's like we came full circle back to the beginning again. Who am I rooting for here? And so because of all of this, I've got something to throw out there to the both of you. pay-per-view. Maybe this is something that we can do moving forward for all of our go-home shows, but at this point, I'm not buying the pay-per-view, and each of you can address that in turn, but I just wanted to put it out there that they haven't sold me on any of this. This is one of the big four of the year, and I'm not buying it strictly because of this bullshit Cahoots angle, and they really did have an honest chance of hooking me here in this go-home show, but me personally, they failed in that. So, Joe, what'd you think of the way that Raw ended here tonight?
I think that I'm not going to say that the whole show, the whole go home was basically ruined for me, but they did lose me with this because they have these guys in these terrible druid costumes that, like, you could see that they had like jeans on with like Reebok sneakers. Like, it just looked
these weren't people coming out of the cemetery.
No.
There was just so much sloppy booking here with this segment. It was the druids, then I could not get over Austin and Kane cuddling in the casket. Like, how do you explain that? How do you explain?
Well, they tried to briefly. They were like, supernatural.
Both of these men come out of that casket. I don't. They lost me.
The casket is a portal to Dave Hebner's stall.
Yeah.
They were in there together, and they magically appeared.
So they lost me with that, and then you see the supernatural powers, and you're always going to lose me with that most of the time, with the fire and all that shit. And yeah, it's a shame because I think that they set it up so well at the beginning of the show. Then you had the stuff in the middle with the Hell in a Cell, which I loved. But this is where they lost me. As far as whether or not I'm going to buy the pay-per-view, yes, because last pay-per-view we saw, Sable showed her bare breasts. So yeah, I'm going to keep buying pay-per-views. But you can tell with the extra attitude, one thing I noticed was you can tell how much these guys love Pat Patterson because they give him the most protective choke slams that I have ever seen.
I didn't like Pat because he kept grabbing my pecker in the locker room.
He what?
He would grab my pecker.
He what?
Yeah. They pick him up and practically just like lay him down on the mat, and I just think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with both of you. This kind of ruined what me and Joe both liked, the stuff at the beginning and the Hell in the Cell match. I loved how that turned out, but this kind of dropped the ball. And I'm right there with you, Joe. When Kane came out after Stone Cold, I was just like, what? I'm willing to kayfabe stuff, but there's only one way that happens, and that's them both riding down together. And that's why you needed the Yokozuna double wide, double deep casket to get them both out there, and why the Druids in their Nikes and jeans were struggling so much to bring them down to the ring. This was a pretty shitty way to end Raw, which I thought did a better job than they have prior, setting up this Undertaker Stone Cold feud, but here they ruined it. But Joe, I'm also in your camp, though. Am I going to buy it? Yes, because, well, regardless of the build-up, it's still Stone Cold versus Undertaker, and Sable maybe is going to have some paint again on her tits, just like you said. So I'm probably going to buy it, or at the very least, adjust my dial on the back of my cheater box to make sure the signal comes in clear. But yeah, I'm watching it.
Okay. Well, I solidify my status as an 18%er once again.
Always.
Proud of it, too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about the extra attitude. It happened. It was there.
Yeah.
Not much, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time they show these extra attitudes, like, well, I could see why that was cut.
Yeah. I'll come down to the ring one more time.
I often wonder what they did with that footage originally. Like, did they package it up into a VHS or something and sell it? Like, I don't understand.
Coliseum home video.
Yeah. I'm not sure how that exists or what it was used for.
Dudinsky bootlegs. Yeah.
Well, that's how we get our video at this point.
Yeah.
Since Netflix has still not added any additional content.
Cocksuckers. All right, guys, that's it. We faded to black, so let's take it on over to highlights and lowlights. Joe, why don't you take that first?
I think it's easy to pick my low light, which is this last segment here, because I think we were riding high with this finally getting the end of the Cahoots and building up some pretty good stuff with Austin, Undertaker, Kane, even Mankind in the mix there, but then this just ruined it at the end for me. My highlight, it's tough to pick. I thought this was a really solid episode up until that last segment, and I thought it was a good go-home show, but I'm going to go with just... all I could think of while I was watching this entire episode is, my God, the amount of brain damage that is happening. Just unreal. I couldn't stop thinking about it.
So my highlight is Bartlett. I know you're going to disagree with. I'm going with the Kane and Mankind Hell in the Cell. Yes, it was Hell in the Cell light, no doubt. But as far as wrestling went this episode, that was the high point, and that's getting my highlight. And to play off of that, my low light is just the general lack of wrestling. I'm not going to say that the storyline segments were bad, except for this final spot, but just the amount of DQs that happened and ended these matches 1-2 minutes into them, except for the Hell in the Cell match, was unacceptable. So that was my low light.
Yeah, I'm not far off of you with that. My highlight was the opening view of Kane and the Undertaker walking down the ramp side by side. Just such a fucking great visual. Like I popped. I love it when I pop first thing on an episode. Opening scene, first live view we get of anything, and I'm fucking popping. That's always going to stand out to me. And it was just such a great thing to see the two of them walking down like badasses.
Keeps you sticking around for the rest of the episode.
Yeah. My downhill, or my low light, though, was that the fact that it went all downhill from there for me. 7 matches. The storytelling was fine, but 7 matches, 1 of them a brawl for all, 4 of the remaining 6 ending in DQs. We only got 1 actual 3-count pin all night. And that's unacceptable to me. I want a little more wrestling in my episodes. So, Joseph, I don't suppose you have any contemporary wrestling news from on and around August 24th, 1998, do you?
I certainly do. From the Wrestling Observer, it was mentioned on tonight's Raw that tonight was Vince McMahon's birthday, and he got a nice choke slam for his birthday, and he turned 53 on this date.
Wow.
We are... what, in our early 40s, can you imagine doing this shit that Vince is doing?
We're about 10 years away from that.
Yeah.
10 years older, so... yeah. No. One thing that happens, guys, when they announce ladder matches like they did with Triple H and The Rock, they usually run those matches at house shows, but Triple H and The Rock have not run any ladder matches at house shows, and it's because Triple H is nursing a little bit of a tweaked knee right now, so they're going to raw dog that match.
We haven't really seen him in the ring in a little while.
Yeah, so that'll be something to look out for. Keep an eye on that match and see how it goes. Might be a little sloppy. We'll see.
I think those two have wrestled with each other enough at this point. They could probably pull it off, but... yeah.
Speaking of sloppy, the Godfather's injuries from getting knocked the fuck out by Bart Gunn were a lot more serious than originally reported.
Oh, that's no good.
Ryan, remember, I think it was last week when I think you mentioned, well, at least he didn't tear every single muscle in his body like Dr. Death.
He did.
He basically did, yeah. He
had to cancel his high school reunion.
Yeah. Dave Meltzer is reporting that the Godfather suffered a broken foot, a torn calf.
Oh, Jesus.
Torn knee ligaments.
Jesus.
And a torn hamstring. So
holy fuck.
He basically lost his leg.
Yeah.
He's a complete mess and will be out for a few months, per Dave Meltzer.
Wow.
And
Bart Gunn just fucking murdering people.
What an animal.
Yeah.
Yep. Fucking killing people in the ring.
I know that you guys will be excited about this. There is some sort of alliance forming between Val Venus and Sable at the house shows.
Oh, great.
Cahoots, you may say.
They're colluding. They're doing segments where they are dancing together.
Whoa.
After Sable wins arm wrestling matches. So
probably
we'll see if that makes it to TV. Yeah. Rumors are that Butterbean will be Sable's partner at SummerSlam. But we'll see about that. Now, we mentioned last week that Vince McMahon was going to be in the AOL chat room again. Unfortunately, Dave Meltzer did not really report anything from that. The only thing that I could gather from that was that Vince was heavily praising Ric Flair. And that is all that I could get from that.
Out of character.
Certainly is. But I think it's probably during one of those times where Ric Flair's contract was coming up and
seeing if maybe they could poach him.
Yeah. And last piece of news here is at a recent house show in Illinois, 4 women flashed the crowd, which resulted in the executive director of that building contacting WWF to make sure that never happens again.
Buzz Killington.
Yes.
I mean, the WWF took out ads, classified ads in the newspapers for this to happen.
Right.
What kind of people do you think you're selling tickets to, pal?
Dump them out, they put in the newspaper.
Yeah. Well, the executive director was probably just putting on an act for his wife or something. They better not do that again.
His church group.
Jesus.
Yeah. And that is all this week.
All right. Well, thank you, Joseph. Illuminating as always. And that's it, folks. We are done with this one. I want to thank you again for joining us. If you like what we're doing here and want to connect with us, you can email us at WRASSLINRAW just at gmail.com. To the end of that, submit questions or comments. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and on every podcast subscription platform. While you're there, don't forget to follow and subscribe to get every episode of Wrasslin Raw coming to you every week. Give us a 5-star review and tell all of your friends to tune in to the most aggressive Monday Night Raw review podcast on the airwaves. Next week on Wrasslin Raw, we're going to take a look at the Raw next week on Wrasslin Raw, we're going to take a look at SummerSlam 1998. By God, it's been 84 years, but we've finally gotten there with matches featuring the Oddities, Edge, and many more. So for Joe and Ryan, I'm Jason, and this has been Wrasslin Raw.